Copper State Rail Videos presents Chasing Union Pacific 4014 through California. In this video, we will start at the Polka Bridges, a well-known rail fan spot nestled in the Feather River Canyon about 35 minutes north of Oroville. From there, we will chase the big boy from Oroville to Marysville and later on Lincoln. So this route used to be owned by the Western Pacific before it was bought into the Union Pacific. And it follows this river pretty closely. And it comes down here, and just under this road bridge is a rail bridge. And you'll be able to see better what the other side looks like from my drone. That's the angle that I'm gonna get the big boy, because it should be coming down this way towards Roseville. Looks like I got everything set up. Drone is good to go. Batteries are good to go. I got this Milwaukee power bank just in case I need to charge them. Controller's charged, so I should be all right. So now I'm just gonna hang out for a little bit. Interest in building a rail line through the Feather River Canyon and through the deserts of Nevada and Utah date back to 1850 with the discovery of Beckworth Pass, the lowest pass through the Sierra Nevada. But it wasn't until the early 1860s when a man by the name of Arthur W. Ketty, a young Scottish-Canadian man, began surveying the Feather River Canyon in order to find a suitable route, in which he did, and used his knowledge to help found the Oroville and Virginia City Railroad Company in 1867, with the intent to build a rail line through the canyon. However, political pressure from the Central Pacific Railroad and a lack of financial backing, among other reasons, eventually led to the halt of construction only 2 years later in 1869. Throughout the 1870s and 1880s, little progress was made in forming a company to construct the railroad line. Some interest remained due to the fact that the proposed route wasn't as steep and passed through the Sierra Nevada at a point 2,000 feet lower than that of the recently finished First Transcontinental Railroad owned by the Central Pacific Railroad between Sacramento and Ogden, Utah. The Union Pacific Railroad, which at the time terminated in Ogden, considered building the line multiple times throughout this era to bypass the Central Pacific and gain access to the Pacific coast. None of these proposals, however, resulted in any level of action, and the idea was widely considered dead by the 1890s. Interest in a line through the Feather River Canyon was renewed in 1900 when the Union Pacific Railroad, then led by E. H. Harriman, took control of the Southern Pacific Railroad. Subsequently, Harriman decided to close off access to the Southern Pacific to all railroads other than the Union Pacific, leaving all other railroads unable to access the Pacific coast from Salt Lake City. Foremost among these railroads was the Denver and Rio Grande Western Railroad, the westernmost part of a 11,000-mile transcontinental rail network organized by Jay Goode. Jay's son and successor, George Goode, decided to obtain access to the Pacific coast. Hence, on April 3, 1903, the Western Pacific Railroad, backed heavily by Goode, was founded in San Francisco. Construction of the line began in 1906 and faced many challenges. In the Sierra, a total absence of roads along with rock slides had hindered the crew's ability to make progress. In the Feather River Canyon, extreme temperature fluctuations made working conditions uncomfortable and dangerous. And in the deserts of Nevada and Utah, high temperatures and lack of water made conditions similarly difficult. As a result, labor turnover was extremely high. Construction costs also skyrocketed, nearly bankrupting the contractors building the line. Nonetheless, progress inched further, although slower than anticipated. When the line was completed in 1909, it spanned a total of 927 miles and had been built at the insane cost of $75 million, which is equivalent to $2.72 billion in 2026. It featured a rolling grade of 1%, making it only half as steep as Southern Pacific's Donner Pass. The route began seeing plenty of usage with the outbreak of World War I, although this traffic quickly decreased shortly after the war ended and continued to decrease into the 1920s and 30s. However, in 1936, Western Pacific began using RCF funds to rehabilitate the line, and as a result, the Feather River Canyon route was in tip-top shape just in time for World War II to start only 3 years later. The route saw traffic levels explode during the first year of the war. Freight traffic doubled and passenger numbers skyrocketed. Both categories steadily increased over the next few years. Unfortunately, after the war, the number of passengers fell substantially, but freight traffic stayed steady. To try to win back ridership along the route, the Western Pacific introduced the California Zephyr in 1949. This was a joint venture with the Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy and the Denver and Rio Grande Western Railroads. The train gained immense recognition but ultimately failed to substantially increase passenger numbers, having to be discontinued in 1970 due to a lack of profitability. The line stayed in use with the Western Pacific up until 1983, when Union Pacific had bought the railroad and absorbed all of its trackage. Union Pacific still owns and operates this route today, and even has trackage agreements with BNSF for them to run freight through the canyon. After arriving at the Polga bridges, I set up my camera equipment in hopes to grab a couple freight trains coming through before the 4014. Unfortunately, I was informed that Union Pacific had halted all traffic before the 4014. But it seemed like the 4014 was running behind schedule, so Union Pacific approved a BNSF freight to run down the canyon prior to the big boy. Here we see that BNSF freight now. The lead locomotive coming right out of the bridge is BNSF number 7702, a ES44DC, followed by 6922, a ES44C4, and 5629, an AC4400CW. Unfortunately, this consist kind of snuck up on me, so I did not have enough time to set up my audio equipment, so we only have video for this consist. Originally, this consist took a full 5 minutes to clear the Polga bridges, but I have trimmed the video down to show the highlights of the consist. Here we have a good variety of BNSF rolling stock. We have some oil tankers here, some showing their age and some being seemingly brand new. And just coming out of the bridge, we have 2 original Burlington Northern hoppers still in Burlington Northern green. Passing by the camera now, we have a rig of BNSF branded hoppers, followed by a couple more tanker cars, and then some Richardson branded hoppers. And just leaving the bridge now, we have a rig of boxcars. You can see right at the end here, exiting the bridge, we have a GATX boxcar in blue, throwing some color into the consist. And finally, the 2 helper locomotives, we have BNSF 4283, a ES44C4 with Tier 4 emissions credits, and 7113, a ES44C4. And finally, after a few more hours of waiting, we finally heard 4014's whistle echo throughout the Feather River Canyon. then cut along trackside to see 4014 thunder through on its way to Marysville, California. Further down the line, we catch 4014 departing Lincoln, California, with its next stop being Roseville, where the locomotive will be put in private storage until tomorrow's display event. As the locomotive rounds the curve, you can ever so slightly see the engine's articulation in motion. This has been Chasing Union Pacific 4014 through California. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please like and share the video. Keep a lookout for future videos by subscribing and turning on notifications.